Welcome back to another episode of Rounds of the Knights
Another
Table?
episode.
I'm Jim.
We're back. I'm Eric.
Back. Today we're going to talk about A Quiet Place 2. John Krasinski, Emily Blunt, Millicent Simmons, Noah Jupe, Cillian Murphy, who forever I just thought it was Cillian Murphy.
I did too.
I saw in one of his Calm commercials, you know those, when you're trying to sleep.
And Jamon Honsu.
This movie opens up where they're at the start of everything. So they take you back to day one and how the family survives and all that stuff. I'm not going to get too heavy into that right now. And then it takes you throughout where the last movie ended. So John Krasinski is gone, if you've seen the first one. Then you're here for a reason. So let's talk about the good.
Let's do it.
I thought this movie was fantastic. And I'm glad I saw it in theaters. I know that you didn't get that opportunity. But I'm glad I saw it in theaters. But also, watching it at home, I didn't think lessen the effect. I thought it was still as good as... Thanks to those Bose speakers. The acting was really good. I find in these movies, especially these thriller, horror movies...
The kids really shine.
If you can get good kid actors, Stranger Things, Haley Joel Osment, and The Sixth Sense... just stuff like that, then you've got a good shot at having a pretty good movie.
Because this one is more about the kids than anything else.
Yeah, Emily Blunt's role was reduced here, and I know that was a complaint by somebody. I don't remember if I read it online or what, but I was like, well, you
can't have her doing everything on her own.
But I'll be damned if I don't want her to.
I mean...
Emily Blunt was great. Cillian Murphy was great.
Yeah.
I feel like the moments you got in this movie, the tender moments were there. And listen, I'm just crying at everything nowadays. So, I'm just a parent now, and I'm old. The scares were good in this.
Yeah, the tension was there kind of constantly.
Take notes, Shyamalan. Tension throughout the movie. And it all made sense. Not your bullshit that you just...
And you didn't have to give... gibberish explanations of things. She didn't even use sign language to explain her plan. She just held up the thing and held up the speaker, the hearing aid and the speaker, and she's like, sometimes you don't need that simple.
Sometimes you don't need clunky exposition. And listen, that's a different review that I probably should have been more fired up about, but we recorded it at like 2 a.m. So I was a little tired when we filmed that review. I'm not so tired now. Who did their lines of cocaine? Not me, but some of us did.
And while it didn't have much of one, I think the score was pretty good.
I was going to say the score was really good.
I just really love how...
Because there's like... It's like kind of like a heartbeat, and you feel that, but it's not really, it's just that...
It's like you could tell when a monster was about to show up. They did this in the first one, and I love that they did it even more in the second one. Anytime they're centered on Millicent's character, everything goes dead silent.
Yeah.
And I love that detail to it.
Is so effective in this story. And, we got to talk about John Krasinski's directing.
Come on.
These 2 movies have been really good. Bad? What you got for bad?
I've been thinking about it since we watched it. And about the only thing bad I can think of are the...
CGI blood. Well, just at the end, though.
The blood pool at the end, yeah.
Yeah, it looked really bad.
It doesn't take you out of it, though. It almost looked like they tried to do 3D CG blood or something, but...
I feel like they showed up to that part and were like, guys, we got like $5 left in this budget. Make it work.
So in the first one, he was setting these fires as like signals to other people that were alive. And he had a map where he would circle where everyone was, and if they didn't answer, he would exit off. Well, there was one left, and that's where they went, and it was some, old factory or something.
And it was Cillian Murphy, who was from their town, their kids play baseball together. He was like, nope, you guys can't stay here. Can't stay here. They're walking, because they got to get the hell out of Dodge after, she killed the ones there. They hit a tripwire, and these bottles fall, and they're like, oh, shit. So they take off running, and he gets out in front, and steps into a bear trap. And he's like, ah! Oh my god.
And she's sitting there like trying to get him to shut up and only has her hand like over part of his mouth. It's like got this huge hole that he's still screaming out of.
You know, like me, when my dad was like, well, you can't watch this part, there's a naked woman. Oh, all right. So that's where they run into Cillian Murphy. And so now they have to treat his wound. He says they can't stay there. He's got like a little, was it like a train cart? I don't know what the hell that was. The little tank that has limited oxygen. You can only be in there for so many minutes. And there's like a towel that holds the handle.
That stops the door from all the way shutting, so you're not closed in.
Yeah.
Maybe it was like a furnace.
They hear a song, Beyond the Sea, Bobby Darin. On a
Emmett's radio.
I was going to say Ransistor. They're like, oh, well, somebody's got to be alive. And he's like, no, there's nobody worth saving.
That song's just playing nonstop.
She tells her brother, she's like, look, I found where the radio station is. It's here on this little island. I feel like it's a message. I'm going. I can save everyone. Because, you know, she's got the superpower by being deaf and having the hearing aid. He's like, no, you can't go. I'll tell Mom. Anyway, the next morning, she's out. So Emily Blunt's like, well, listen, Lee would want you to save my girl because she's worth saving. And she totally lays that guilt trip on him.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, all right, whatever. So he goes, but now she's got to go get oxygen for the baby because they keep it in that little box.
To keep it.
Well, yeah. Good luck. My son would King Kong his way right out of that fucking thing. My son
box isn't big.
So there's just great tension going out throughout this whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
And now the injured son, Marcus, has to take care of the baby.
You've got 2 or 3 different spots of people now, and it's going back and forth between each one, like simultaneously, kind of.
Yeah.
And that was pretty nice how they did that.
Millicent Simmons. She ends up at a train where it's been torn to hell, where the monsters have been, and man, jump scare twice for me. Got him, but it got me. Like if I jump, it's usually like, ooh, I felt it inside. But man, I saw this in theaters, and I went, ooh, yep, got me. Then still got me the second time. It was the birds. Or was it? And then one shows up on the train. And
because she screams.
And they make it look like she's done for, but...
She tried to use the speaker with the hearing aid to stun it and then shotgun it, but she didn't hit it quite square. It kind of grazes the face, and so that just ticked it off. And then she's trying to, like...
cock the shotgun again.
For another load, and it gets stuck. She's trying to reload, and it doesn't work.
Cillian Murphy shows up, shoots the thing in the back of the head. But listen, that shot, the trajectory, if you miss or it goes through, that's a 2 for 1. And you're like, well, special. And then you're like, well, the monster got her. You gotta say, well, the monster got her. I found what was left of her body. So then later, she thinks that he's left her, and he really actually went to go find a boat, and he found a boat.
So they could get to the island of the radio station.
Back in the factory or warehouse, Marcus gets a case of curiosity and decides he's going to go check out and, I guess, see when Mom's coming back. But the baby's almost all out of oxygen.
Which I guess he didn't notice. That's not what the red line means totally. It was full.
She gets the oxygen. She's walking back. He goes up. He finds Cillian Murphy's dead wife. You know, he did say that she didn't make it, but you didn't think that the body would still be there, really.
I thought he left her at the house.
And he's got pictures of his sons that were killed. He said day 1. Cillian Murphy, Millicent Simmons. They get to the boat, and
there's this little girl there that ran by.
And he's like, oh, it's okay, little girl. And she hooks his neck with a rope, and there's bottles on it. And so he can't move, and then all these people... The guy looked like he was burned or something. His eyes were red. I guess, 400 something days without a shower. You're going to tend to look a little funky. So he's trying to, talk to him, and this guy's really just, toying with him a little bit.
I'm glad they didn't have any actual lines.
Yeah.
He just was kind of off-putting, and I guess he was supposed to be.
Yeah.
But then he's over there messing with Reagan, like took her jacket off or something. It was getting a little out there.
Well, I mean, I just assumed that's where they were going to go with it. And then they're like walking away, and he's still there with the thing on.
Yeah.
And because earlier in the movie, when they were at the baseball game, you know, the kid didn't dive, which, I mean, why would you say dive and not slide?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was nice for the movie. And they told him like that's it. And so so she dives into the water. He runs up and hooks him. Here come the monsters, and they just clear house. And he's in the water while this guy's getting like cut up. He's trying to get the thing off. And she comes by with a boat, pulls him up, and the monster goes into the water
and just like sinks because they can't swim.
And the other one just like starts to drift off. They end up on that island, find people to it's like
a full-on community.
They're like living it up. They're loud,
partying, having a barbecue or something.
Man, what a good moment. He's like, you know, you're like him, talking about John Krasinski, Lee, and he goes out onto the beach to go have a cry about his son.
Looked like he was about to just walk in the water and say, I'm done.
And then you hear doink, 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 and he walks around, and the boat drifted to the island.
That the second one had been stuck on.
In the warehouse, he got scared by the body, made a noise, or knocked something over, and so it alerted them, and he's trying to get back down, and gets into the furnace, or the tank, whatever.
Yeah. He didn't use the towel.
He didn't use the towel, and the door closed. So then he was like, ooh, I'm gonna house my brother's oxygen. Oh, shit, there's none left. Running out of air. The baby's screaming. She hears a bang when the monster goes down because she's right outside, and so she hurries in. Blows up a canister of oxygen. Gets the water there. Yeah, I know. Gets the water going because they can't hear with the water. She gets back down and then gets in there, and they're all using the oxygen. And how fast did that tank run out?
So fast. That kid was sucking it all up. Slow down, Marcus.
Then on the island, the monster's running loose. He's killing everybody.
Monsu's there for 5 seconds.
And they drive off. Him, Millicent Simmons, and Cillian Murphy to try to lure the monster after her. And man, there's some good scares there, too.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get to the radio station. He's like, we were too fast. We didn't lure it all the way away.
We lost it.
Joink! Psych! Then the monster in the warehouse gets down there where they are.
She had gotten out to get something. Right. She got out to get either the oxygen canister or something for one of them.
The radio? No.
I don't remember what it was that she was grabbing.
But she put the gun down.
Was trying to grab something and then ran back inside to the furnace. And because it came out from behind her. And couldn't get the door closed in time because it jammed its arm in there and
yanked that baby box right out of there.
Thank God they grabbed the kid.
Exactly. So it's sitting there trying to claw at him, and
gets her leg a little bit.
Yeah. So they're in this radio station. They got to get to through this window. She's got to fucking she's got a Catherine Zeta-Jones her way in there from entrapment. She does, but this thing bursts through the door after they make a little noise, and Cillian Murphy gets hit. And you're like, oh, he's done for.
He closes her in.
So she manages to get the thing blasting throughout the whole radio station. The son hears it because he's got the headphones on.
Headphones plugged into the radio at the factory.
Yeah.
And that sound starts going off. And she had told him before she left.
Listen for it.
Keep listening to the radio.
Yeah.
So he sticks it out in front of him.
And that thing
that thing starts backing up.
Goes out, gets that gat. Points at it, but then it cuts to her,
and she grabbed pipe
and rammed it home. I think that was it.
It just pretty much goes off with them standing over
and that terrible blood.
There's people out there trying to lure monsters into killing other people just so they can steal their stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it. There was the same thing in I think The Last of Us had similar things.
It's kind of like Cormac McCarthy's The Road. It's a good Viggo Mortensen movie.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. That's what I was actually thinking of.
And a really good book.
I don't know if it was the way they just looked or was cast or They thankfully didn't have any lines, I guess.
They weren't in it for very long. There's probably going to be a third one. If you're this far into this by now, you've already watched the whole movie, essentially. But other than that, there wasn't like a bad note. In the first one, there's the guy that they run into out in the middle of the open who screams.
Yeah, and just starts screaming because his wife is dead right beside him or
Which,
something.
okay, I understand he wants to die. But, like, he saw them. Mm-hmm. He couldn't just be like...
He could have just waited.
He said, you know what, I like the first one better. But watching it here at home, I was like, oh, man, I don't know. That second one was really good.
I actually like this one more.
I got to go back and watch the first one again. I don't know what I scored the first one, so this should be interesting.
It's going to be.
So I do have a score in my head. 9.1 out of 10.
Snap. That's a good score, especially coming from you. But, I mean, it was such a good...
Let's get it! Let's get it!
My score, 9.3.
Woo!
That's probably the second highest I've given.
I'd have to go back and look. You have watched a lot of Marvel movies.
Well, Spider-Verse.
You know, Rise of Skywalker, fucking 10.6.
No. I think I gave it an
out
8
of 100, and that's generous. You gave it a what?
I think I gave it an 8 something.
It's in theaters still, but also if you have Paramount Plus or if you don't, you can subscribe to it for a week and cancel. It's on there.
Not
A Quiet Place 1 is on there. Streaming now on Paramount Plus. If you saw this movie, I want to know what you thought. Let us know in the comments. Hit that like. Hit that subscribe. Do it already. What are you waiting for? We're back. The boys are back in town. Hey, Mortimer. Mortimer.
One does not simply walk into Mortimer.
It's fucking rounds.